you're a QuickBooks customer looking to grow your business without the growing pains, you need the Intuit ERP. Upgrade to Intuit Enterprise Suite in a matter of hours. It's the AI-native ERP from the makers of QuickBooks. Learn more at intuit.com/ERP.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix's Remarkably Bright Creatures. What if a Pacific octopus held the key to a mystery that could heal your heart? Well, that's Tova's reality. An elderly widow working at an aquarium. Tova forms an unlikely friendship with the curmudgeonly Marcellus, whose remarkable intelligence leads her to a life-changing discovery. Watch Remarkably Bright Creatures with your remarkable moms this Mother's Day weekend, only on Netflix May 8th.
Hello and welcome to Shite Talk, an Irish history podcast. The episode today is about NORAID because the guest, Kevin Brannigan, just released a documentary about it. It's on the Real Player if you're in Ireland. If you're not, VPNs are great, but it's a beautiful little two-part documentary all about the organisation NORAID, set up in America to send money back for the cause of freeing the North back in the Troubles. And if you enjoy this chat, there's about 25 or 30 minutes more on Headstuff Plus if you're signed up to that. If you're not, go sign up to it, because we recorded for like an hour and a half and probably didn't touch on the documentary for the first half hour, so I've just cut that and thrown it all up on Headstuff Plus. Outside of that, go like the podcast wherever you listen to it, leave reviews, follow us online, all that good stuff. Good luck, Shafter. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
We watched your very, very good NORAID two-part series.
Yeah.
And that's what brought me onto the CIA, because at some point some of the NORAID folk used that as an excuse to muddy the water and get off a court case, which is funny.
Basically, George Harrison, who would have been George Harrison was from Mayo.
Yeah.
He was born in like the 30s, he was born before the 30s. In like the 30s, he joins like the East Mayo Brigade of the IRA, whatever they were up to in the 30s.
Sure.
You know, hopefully fighting blue shirts in Mayo or something like that.
Yeah.
But and the Kenny's pretty successful, so that didn't really land.
No.
But yeah, he goes to America. He ends up fighting in the Pacific Theater during the Second World War.
Yeah.
But he becomes just like a massive gun runner. And then he himself with Michael Flannery, who's from Tipperary, he fought in War of Independence, but 10 years older than George. But he also ends up in America kind of after the Civil War. What we found when we were making NORAID is that, like, I thought, when myself and Jamie Goldrick were making NORAID, is that I thought that everyone that we met would be like going back towards the famine. You know, they'd be like, oh, my family came over here in 1847, blah, 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 blah. But like, and that their reference points would be like the famine. But everyone's reference point was the Civil War and the defeat of the anti-treaty side. Then after the anti-treaty side are defeated, if you're not like hopping into Fianna Fáil and trying to get that as a thing, there's not a lot of, like, you read Brendan Behan's books and he talks about his father, house painter, not being able to get like a lot of work and all this sort of stuff because he was anti-treaty. So there's just this mass exodus. I wonder, could you see it in the 1926 census, but people who weren't there in the census before that? But there's this mass exodus of anti-treatyites to all corners of America, and that's kind of where like the NORAID that we were talking that came from.
Yeah.
But like Harrison and Flannery end up on trial, and their defense is amazing. It's kind of off the back of Watergate.
Yeah.
So kind of the CIA are not in like good favor with the American people,
but it's still. Like,
so they're like we weren't getting 1970. We're not getting. We didn't think we were getting guns illegally for the IRA because that man there, and they're talking about George DeMayo, who's like the mob like informant dude who basically turned out on the guys. Is like we thought we were getting them straight up from the CIA.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're proud Americans and we wanted to do what the CIA... And the jury believes it. You know, the jury just kind of like them.
Yeah. And they're retelling it's a real like circus. And like, I haven't been running guns for 15 months. I've been doing it 15 years and I got him from that man. He's in the CIA. Yeah. And they're like, well...
Yeah. But is anyone on trial like younger than 60? Like,
no, it's kind of like a geriatric trial. Like, you know? Bernadette Devlin goes over and gives a character witness for George Harrison. Harrison's like an out and out communist.
Okay.
Like he's like, I'm a communist. You know, like I was listening to an interview actually earlier on today that was done in 2004 with him, the radio interview. Must have been one of the last ones. And he's like, I was a socialist. Well, you know, communist. You could call me a Stalinist. You know? And you're like, yes, George.
Yeah.
Whereas that would be not very out of character or whatever. But, well, George wasn't ever in NORAID per se. He was a gun runner. But NORAID and how it lasted so long was that it was just like a one-issue thing. It was like, get the Brits out of the North. And in terms of like, and that's where we get a lot of criticism from the left. People on the left at the time be like, what about what's happening in El Salvador? Or what about like, you know, black civil rights? And they were just like, no, we got like one thing and we're not going to get distracted. And you can kind of see the logic to it as well. Like, you know, you got just like aim for this thing. But Bernadette comes over and gives him character witness. Whereas like an archbishop gives Michael Flannery character witness.
Yeah.
The whole thing's, and then you just got all these like angry CIA spooks going around the place.
Yeah.
And they can't believe it.
Does the archbishop show up in like full robe?
In full robe.
Like,
You know, full robe.
I've never met a more innocent man. Just
Yeah.
it sounds like pure
There's a
drama.
party that night for them to get off. And we interviewed a couple of people that were at the party. And the jury turns up. And they're like, oh, it was just a great night. You know, we were all together.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Just absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, beautiful.
But there's great. We interview one of the FBI dudes who's still alive, and we're like, oh, what was it like, you know, losing? And he was like, it was like losing the last ball of the World Series.
Yeah.
And it's still hurting him now. Which tells you that he took his job seriously, but it's still hurting him now that he hadn't locked these guys up.
Yeah.
And if, you know, he had locked up George, he would have stopped a lot of more arms ships inside. Whatever.
Is it him then that when you talk to him, you mentioned Panicky? And he's like, how is he?
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's happy about it. Yeah.
Well, that's a different kind of case down the line. But that is pretty funny.
Yeah.
So why don't you guys just all get together and have a
It's
beer,
like every
you know?
movie you've seen about them, we're like, they're closer to it's heat, essentially. You know, they're keeping in contact. It's like, I hope he's doing good.
Yeah. Or the dude in Sopranos who gets obsessed with Tony, you know?
Yeah.
He gets
We're
moved
going to
on
win
to
this thing.
Yeah. And they're like, what?
I've always thought he looks a lot like Leo Varadkar.
The guy in Sopranos.
The FBI guy, who's on his
Like, I can't remember his name, but I can see his head.
Yeah. There's something there.
Is this Leo after he got buff?
He's never really been buff.
He has. When he became Taoiseach the first time. Remember there was that photograph of him outside the Dáil and he's in his car and he's just he's been driven.
Is it the orange vest?
Yeah.
That's not buff. He just has a tight vest on.
No, there's definitely a pre and post kind of like, I'm going to say hot.
Okay,
Leo,
he had a glow up.
Yeah.
He had a glow up.
Yeah.
Gives a shit.
Yeah.
That's pre then. That'd be.
Jesus, man. I don't know.
Don't know. Yeah, I'm losing faith in it now. I'll put up a more convincing picture.
With the help of AI, this is going to get very.
Yeah.
If I was Leo and like you showed me that some night in a club,
Yeah.
which you could definitely bump into Leo some night in a club.
For sure.
Which is one of the great things about Dublin.
Mhm.
That
know?
Leo's here. Club.
That Leo's just going around saying really offensive stuff now that he's a TV pundit and clubbing.
Yeah.
You know, like,
What did he say during the week that he said something flagrant?
basically that
80%
people in the
of-
countryside
Yeah,
don't do
yeah,
any work.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
80% of
and
the money comes from the urban areas,
Yes.
people from the country to
And
cop on.
then went on an apology tour for that and he's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you got offended because it's true. And he's gone into full shit stirring.
It is cool though that like, not cool. It's like, you know, you look at people who held that office, like Dev,
Yeah.
and Mass, and you're like, these are big statesmen. And like, just to pivot from that to being like a radio pundit, like, leave that to, you know, people around this table.
Yeah.
Leave that to the bottom feeders.
Yeah,
Like-
we should be sitting in dark rooms
Yeah.
making cracks at it. He should be doing stately stuff.
Yeah. Could he not get a job in like the EU?
I thought he had a
thought
job
that's what
lined
it
up. I
was,
thought he was going to.
or NATO. Could he not be like the next Mark Rutte? He could be the next like NATO general. Or
I thought he'd
something
go
like
into like health again and go and be the head of some organisation, of
Yeah.
a European health organisation that we'd never hear of, and
that
he'd make like
sounds-
$1 million.
that. That sounds like a bit of a head record.
That
Yeah,
does
we'd
sound
never
kinda
hear of him, and
boring.
he kind of likes the
Yeah.
spotlight. So it's
Yeah.
the.
No, you need to be like head of like Europe's like African affairs department, And you basically just you go down to Senegal loads
Yeah.
and hang out.
Yeah, I'm sure he's in a running for that job.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of other stately people who held the position, there's a very funny line from like Martin Galvin where he's talking about how I guess Haughey was disparaging of NORAID.
Yeah,
Said something
he went
about,
hot and cold on them.
He went hot and
depending
cold,
on
yeah.
where his career was at the time.
But so he said something about like, oh, Haughey knows what it's like to be accused of gun running in the Corps and then like, vindicated.
Yeah.
That's just a funny like. Don't pick Haughey to feel like your man who's, and he was innocent.
Yeah.
He knows what it's like to be wrongly tarred of a crime.
Yeah. Well, he was innocent in the end, wasn't he?
Well, no. I mean,
He just had to go around the country eating lots of chicken dinners for like 7 or 8 years.
Yeah. He was innocent, maybe technically, of that.
Yeah.
But he certainly wasn't innocent in the long run.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Overall.
Just a weird man to be like, you know, he had his naysayers, but he was vindicated in the end. And we all remember him fondly. It's a weird one to pick. He was technically found innocent of that gun running thing. But
Yes.
I still like to think that he did it.
That kind of gives, well, wasn't his brother involved in like driving the truck and all that sort of stuff?
It's one, like, it's the same as like Lowry, or, well, it's not the same, but you know, a lot of tribunals where they're like, we can't prove it, but you know what you did, so we'll just leave it there. I think he was definitely in and around.
He's in and around. Maybe he was in the same. He was in the same nightclub one night that they were in, or something like that.
There was something. Like, he said he bumped into. There was like evidence that he was consorting with an IRA person. He was like, "Oh, consorting. We were just in the same place at the same time, right before those guns came in."
And as I've seen from the CIA's photograph, there wasn't a lot of places in Dublin.
Exactly.
So you're just going to be bumping into people all the time.
Half of it was fields.
Like, what else are you going to do? Go to a field? Like,
yeah.
I just happened to bump into this guy because, like, the only other place to be was a field.
Yeah. They haven't invented gay clubs yet, so I don't know where to go. We're just hanging out. It's just.
Well, they had the catacombs.
Oh yeah.
Where Behan and
Oh yeah.
Dunleavy and all them hung out.
Are you a fan of Behan? You mentioned him a few times there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of, I don't know why I've mentioned him. Well, he was involved allegedly in a gun running bit with George Harrison.
Oh yeah. Because he does spend a lot of time in New York.
Yeah.
There's one man you can trust. It's drunk Brendan Behan.
Well, apparently he gets a consignment of weapons. This is all apparently.
Yeah.
Or can dead people do anything to you? But apparently he gets a consignment. He gets a consignment of weapons back to Ireland, and they're left on like the docks in Dublin.
Yeah.
And but the local IRA haven't been told about it, or like, we didn't ask you to do this. And apparently he has a line like, I could get these weapons 3,000 miles. You fuckers could get them another extra mile. You know. Maybe that's pumped up. But Behan comes up again in the NORAID story. I don't know if you've ever seen, well, you know Columbo, the
detective. Yeah.
Have you seen the NORAID Columbo?
No.
Oh no, I do have that on a list of but go on.
Like, it's one of the greatest things ever.
Yeah.
It's like based around San Francisco, I would say. And there's this writer knocking around, I hope I get his name right, called Joe Devlin. And he had joined the IRA as a boy. And then he's just got all these quips of like, I never went a day to school, and everyone's and he's always in the bar with like a big crowd around them.
Yeah,
and he's like,
a legend.
In Ireland, you could be a king or a pauper. There's already too many kings, so I'd be. And everyone's like, you're like, these jokes are fucking terrible, you know. But he writes a book about being in the IRA as a kid, getting arrested for trying to blow up England and serving time in a borstal in England. You're like, this is Brendan Behan you're talking about, you know? So he's kind of knocking around, it's fucking such a good episode. He's kind of knocking around San Francisco, and he's going to all these like real high society like parties.
Yeah.
And the name of the group is so funny. It's like so he gets invited to this party, the American Friends for Northern Ireland. Okay. Like the fact that they call it like Northern Ireland, like, you know, but actually it's been run, you know, the American Friends for Northern Ireland think the money is going to orphans in Northern Ireland.
But it's been infiltrated.
But it's actually all the money is going for weapons, and like Joe Devlin. Yeah. Sorry.
It's not NORAID, it's not Joe Devlin.
Yeah. Joe Devlin's in the back room, and like the evil guy who runs O'Connell Industries, which is like this kind of like front business for the IRA in America. He goes, if only all of these knew that all the money was going to weapons. And I was like, oh no.
He's what? Just smoking a cigar and being like, those orphans won't be eaten tonight.
I love saying my crimes out loud.
Yeah.
But
and these are specifically going towards civilian deaths.
yeah, these are like, this is only going towards
It's only
bad shit.
Yeah.
No, we said we were going to make orphans. Come on, that's
the old-fashioned way.
that's out of order. But
It's a comedy podcast.
Oh, okay.
You can say what you want. We've said a lot worse.
but
Don't you see, Joe? More orphans means more money. We got a system here. It's a good thing.
but he ends up like in a bit of a schmozzle with O'Connell Industries.
Great word.
And basically, Devlin,
Yeah.
the writer, kills the guy who's running O'Connell Industries / the real guy, the real money guy for the arms. Because the IRA are like, we need these arms tomorrow. I want these arms on my desks by like 12. So Devlin ends up being like, I can't do it, and like kills the guy. Enter Columbo, you know? And then
This is a lot of setup for a Columbo episode. Wait,
it's about 45 minutes before Columbo kind of enters the scene.
Amazing.
So Columbo enters the scene and he goes to the guy's house who's been killed. I'm kind of paraphrasing and throwing it together, but but basically he sees these two words, Sinn Féin. And he's like, Columbo's like, Sinn Féin, Sinn Féin. So that sticks in his head. And then he's out. For some reason, himself and Joe Devlin become drinking buddies.
Yeah.
So they're just in the pub all the time, like drinking whiskeys, blah, blah, blah. And at one point, Devlin just mentions the words Sinn Féin. And then things like, Sinn Féin. He said Sinn Féin too. And then he's back in his office. This is like, now the film is like, you're like, you need to like make an arrest. Like, and he's back in his office and his secretary is like, Sinn Féin, that means ourselves alone. And he's like, did you say Sinn Féin? He's like, yeah.
It's like Rollo Tommaso or whatever.
That's what he had on his case. And she's like, apparently it's been the Irish battle cry for 700 years and they're still shooting themselves over there. And then that's how Devlin gets nicked.
Wow. Because he said Sinn Féin.
Because he said Sinn Féin.
No other Irish person could know those words.
Yeah.
The secret code.
Or an American.
So the final scene is they're in the bar together again and they're drinking like whiskey and he's like, and Columbo's like, I got lucky. And Devlin's like, there's no luck about it. You're a great detective.
Like, I'm so happy.
Oh,
that's
that tonight.
So good.
I had hoped to like get the rights to that, but it was like 5 million quid or something. Like
yeah,
that.
I think you've just pitched. That's.
But it's funny how like
If I had to be caught, Columbo, glad it was you. Be gosh and be Garan.
Yeah.
May all your mornings be topped.
Yeah. Sinn Féin. And you know the way he does it with his eyes, like Sinn Féin. Yeah. If I was to pitch Sinn Féin like an election video, I'd be like, we should open with that. Sinn Féin.
Where have I heard that?
Six more things.
Yeah.
But it is funny how the Friends of Northern Ireland, who are obviously meant to be NORAID, are depicted. And they're depicted like this in like Devil's Own and Patriot Games and stuff like that. They're always like really high society rich people who are like at these parties, you know, these soirees, and they're being duped by like, you know, the dangerous men in the background who are actually using the money for guns. And it's like, no, the NORAID were like totally working class Irish or Irish American. Like this whole high society thing. Obviously like judges and senators and blah, blah, blah would go to like the NORAID events and nights, but it was a working class thing. Yeah. So it was just odd to wonder why Hollywood producers or TV producers in America would pitch it always as like a small select industrialist or a high society thing. Maybe because they were like, oh, for actually to like come to terms with the fact that like thousands, like tens of thousands of working class like white Irish Americans are supporting this organization, then we're going to have to ask like some deeper questions, you know, kind of way.
Yeah, because Devil's Own, it's like the judge.
I always mix up Devil's Own and Patriot Games. Which one is Brad Pitt?
Devil's
Own. Because Brad Pitt came out afterwards and was like, that is the most irresponsible film I've ever been involved in.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, it was a total... I think him and Harrison Ford like were having fights on set.
They hated each other. They never worked together ever again. They wouldn't talk to each other. I think Harrison Ford had to start to rewrite his character. I think they were both trying to rewrite the film at the same time.
Wow. Right. Yeah. Because Brad Pitt was like, this is a really dangerous thing to be putting out there. This is like...
Yeah, I watched all of the 90s IRA Hollywood films last year. Devil's Own's still the best. It's still when you deal with the Blown Away with Jeff Bridges, and Tommy Lee Jones. Shocking. It's like
which one starts with like where they blow up a busload of kids from like the hill? They're like on the hill running through. That's Patriot Games, is it?
Maybe.
Wait, Harrison Ford's in Patriot Games.
Harrison Ford's in Devil's Own and in Patriot Games. Yeah.
Devil's Own, I think, starts with young Brad Pitt at like, pan over.
Yeah, he sees his dad getting killed by the British.
Yeah. They all kind of,
And Tom O'Mara, who's Harrison Ford, is like, what do you want? Another kid to see his dad killed?
I fucking...
And they did the shootout.
Harrison Ford kills both IRA men on a boat in both films.
Yes, actually,
They're very similar movies.
They're totally similar. Like, they're one in my brain. Like, you know?
And Jeff Bridges, I think, kills Tommy Lee Jones and Blown Away by blowing up the boat that he's on, that he's created, his master plan. And I think they all end with a giant boat scene.
We wanted to interview Mickey O'Rourke for our documentary.
Yeah.
But Mickey's having a bit of trouble at the minute, / the last 10 years or so. Because Mickey was actually quite involved in kind of Irish Republican circles in the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
He did a film about Francis of Assisi where he's Francis of Assisi. And he kind of gave a lot of his proceeds of that to the Joe Doherty case. Joe Doherty was a big cause celeb for NORAID and Irish Americans. He was I don't know what he was involved in, but he was in jail in America. And, he became a big cause celeb to get him out. And we got these amazing photographs from people of Mickey O'Rourke at like hunger strike memorial things in America, and it's just like Mickey O'Rourke with like Bobby Sands' family, Mickey O'Rourke with like Joe McDonnell, Mickey Devitt, all this sort of stuff. And I was like, I didn't know about this. Like, and he's incredibly handsome at the time. Like,
right.
This is before the boxing, then.
Yeah. Though I was looking at his boxing career today. It was quite a lot of fights. He ends up doing like a fight in like Moscow in the Luzhniki Stadium in like 2016 or something.
Okay.
But there was talk at the time of Mickey O'Rourke being involved in a film about the hunger strikes. This would have been 89, 90. And it would have kind of tipped the balance, I'd say, more sympathetically to like the Republicans, which is not what American film that we've seen about IRA were doing at the time. But according to people I talked to, and this didn't make the film either because we didn't get Mickey, but like according to people I talked to, Dennis Donaldson, who goes on to be outed and killed as a informer. He was in New York working in the NORAID office at the time, and people are like, he stopped that film being made. He went out of his way to get that film not made. Like the Brits were telling him, don't let Hollywood, make a sympathetic film towards the hunger strikers, which is like, maybe someone listening to this can go and do a deep dive in that, but like, I was like, that's incredible stuff. Like,
I never really thought about the Hollywood angle of how it was. Maybe it's easier for them to depict it as like the elites. Maybe it's less because I guess you get into a lot of class issues if they're regular folk.
Yeah,
that's a big problem with the Devil's Own because Brad Pitt doesn't want to be seen as a villain because he's like a Hollywood heartthrob. So he's like, there has to be something here for me.
Oh, that's why he's trying to kind of rewrite it.
Yeah, because I guess he's like, I gotta be seen as a good light here. Surely there's a struggle here for like.
Because there's a bit in the scene when they're like, is him and the judge are going to sail back across the Atlantic with the weapons, isn't it?
No, it's him and Saoirse Ronan's dad.
Yes.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. But they're trying to sail across, and then Harrison Ford's trying to stop him.
Yeah, and Brad Pitt's like, can we not just FedEx this? Well, like, why do we have to go back there and get our asses blown off?
Yeah. When I was watching that film, I was like, this thing's so stupid. And then I watched your documentary. It was like, oh, this is exactly what happened. Where they're like, we're going to. I didn't realize they could sail a boat full of. They were looking for like the anti-aircraft missiles.
The Valhalla boat.
Yeah. Because that's like their idea was. Well, I suppose Brad Pitt was like, we'll get a disused, giant, huge, like a transatlantic giant boat, and then fill it full of anti-aircraft missiles. I was like, how do you know how to fix this thing on your own? It's a ship of like 100 people. But it's like, and we're going to just stuff it full of, I was like, surely just guns, like machine guns would do as well. But,
I think it establishes that he grew up beside a lake and his dad was a fisherman, so therefore he knows how to fix a transatlantic trawler. Simply enough.
Yeah. And they do the shootout scene in Belfast and that in Inchicore.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what, like 1993 or something like that, maybe?
About that,
early 90s. They needed someone.
St. Michael's Estate would have still been there and all that sort of stuff. Like,
they needed someone to look like bombed out Belfast in the 70s. So 90s in Chicore.
I remember they shot did Jimmy Nesbitt Bloody Sunday in Ballymun.
Oh, yeah.
I remember being like one of like 500 extras in that one Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And they were like, just throw stones. You're like, Absolutely.
You're really getting into this character for the film.
Yeah.
What film?
What film?
There's a great. We're about to do the Big Bag of Cans Film Festival.
Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah, as far as the
So
DJs.
so the double entendre there is like cans,
Yes, but it's
can
like
also cans.
yeah, it's like the cans, but it's like big bag of cans.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
And the aim is to get sued.
Yeah.
yeah, by the French.
There'll be a lot of publicity in that for us.
But we'll be looking at like Dublin films, and there's an unbelievable scene in The Name of the Father. There's some really great like raw footage of in the early 90s someone just driving around.
Oh, I've watched this a
Have you
million
seen it?
times.
So good.
Driving around Sheriff Street.
Yeah. It's like
yeah.
8 or 9 minutes of them just having a camera out the window, and
Yeah.
it just looks.
Who's filming that?
It's just some guy.
Right.
Yeah, it's some locals that come down with like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
camera,
yeah.
and they just film it before the shooting of In the Name of the Father starts. And
Yeah.
there's a bit of graffiti,
Graffiti,
blah, blah.
yeah.
Most of it already there.
Yeah.
It looks- Have I showed you this?
Yeah.
We'll watch it. On
Also
the
a bit
night
of
again.
like Leeds or maybe Man United graffiti as well.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's just, but it looks like fucking like post-Soviet.
Yeah.
Just these real.
When Jim Sheridan,
Cars on fire.
when Jim Sheridan brought over 50 Cent, he brought him down to Sheriff Street.
Mhm.
And 50 was like, I thought I was from the ghetto. Get me out of this place.
yeah. They shoot a scene in Dardistown Cemetery
Okay.
out near Belcamp. And Ger O'Leary, who I would have known, he was a kind of famous Dublin actor. But Ger O'Leary, and he's also an ex-member of like the Workers' Party and official IRA. Ger O'Leary does a scene with 50 Cent.
Okay.
Ger O'Leary's also in the Spice Girls film or a movie that's shot in Stony Batter. He's like cycling the bike.
Unbelievable.
And he's also like in Michael Collins. I think he's like Clark with the gunner eye, and he's like grabbed out at the beginning of it, like after Easter Rising. But I just love this idea of Ger and 50 Cent kind of hanging out together.
Yeah. Well, the Easter, right? Yeah, that was I don't
Easter
know.
Rising, yeah, that was pretty big.
That was pretty big. Yeah, 110 years ago today.
Today, I know.
Yeah, this afternoon.
We should stop doing the Easter bit. You know what kind of
I think because it's funny because I think it confuses like McGregor put up a thing.
Yeah.
Just ahead of Easter. It's
Yeah.
Easter on today, the Easter Rising. I think it is a easy
You need to
way
be more staccato.
Yeah, I'm working on my Dublin accent.
Yeah.
But I think it's an easy way to separate just fucking lunatic patriots who are like whatever Easter lands, that's the day.
Yeah.
But
Peter McGann did a good because I think today is St. George's Day as well.
he did. Yeah, I saw that yesterday.
Yeah.
It's like all of us and our English. Ireland is full. It's just for the Irish and the English. Thanks, boys. Just Patriots Day.
Yeah.
But 110 years ago today, there is a good line from one of the I can't remember his name, but he's one of the guys you're interviewing at the start of the documentary. And he says, the Irish Americans spend an awful lot of time trying to get into the mindset of Irish people, and Irish people never really try to understand.
Yeah.
the
That's
Irish American.
Chris Byrne.
Yeah, which is true.
Yeah.
But he's a good line. The proclamation says, and supported by our exiled children in America.
Yeah.
You're looking at them.
Now that's John McDonough, the taxi driver.
Yeah, the taxi driver.
"And
Yes,
you're looking at him."
yeah. Which is,
You know when you're like filming something and someone does something, you're like, fuck it.
Yeah, it's like, that's making the cut instantly.
Were we rolling on that?
Yeah. Yes.
That is good.
Could you be any more perfect?
Yeah,
That
but
is a great
even
line.
last weekend I went to the National Museum and saw the Catalpa flag.
Yes.
The 36 state star American thing.
Yeah.
I was looking at it for like an hour. I was like, it was captivating just to look at it.
Okay.
But
Well, we were down at the census event on Saturday.
Right.
And it was all like the Dublin history nerds were there. And
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Have you seen the Capata flag? It was
Yeah.
it was the talk of the town.
it was good stuff. Like
Yeah. 'Cause
when
it's
I was
only
there, a lad
out for
came in
2
and
days.
touched it. And then someone else like, don't fucking touch it.
I need to know what it felt like.
yeah.
What?
Well-
Yeah, what? There's like, I can't remember his name, but there's like one guy who's the champion for getting it.
Right.
Because it's somewhere behind glass, so people won't be touching it. But,
Well, no, it was
comes
just
out.
laid out on the floor.
Yeah, but it's only out like 2
it
days
had-
a year.
Yeah, it had come into the possession of the National Museum via a guy in Philadelphia whose name I totally forget.
Yeah.
Not John Joe McGrill, he's the guy who owned the pub in Leitrim, but he was basically a big up guy in NORAID
Okay.
who had got the flag from someone who was maybe the captain of the Capalta.
Yeah.
So there's just like this link. Like Irish America has always been
Yeah.
a thing. That's like one of the questions in the film. Were like, why was Irish America invested in? We have to ask stupid questions. Why was Irish American invested in this thing? It's like we've always been invested in it. Like
Yeah.
Clon na Gael, everything. Like America was a place
The
where you could
IRB.
go and like as an Irish like rebel
Yeah.
and be free and like set up campaigns.
Yeah.
Like, Easter Rising doesn't happen without America.
But Donovan Ross, Tom Clark, arrested on trumped up charges of trying to own a gun.
Yeah.
And left to run off to America. And But it's another interesting thing that I'd never really thought about. But yeah, you do kind of associate the Irish American identity with the famine and post-famine stuff. And yeah, a lot of them are big anti-treatyites. And
I to be honest, I would have been kind of, you know, like your interactions with Americans are in the summertime trying to walk down Dame Street, you know, kind of way.
Yeah.
But then when you actually go and meet and spend time with Irish Americans, you're like, okay,
they're all racist.
no,
Yeah.
not at all. Maybe in South Boston.
Definitely in South Boston.
Yeah.
Oh.
That is
Well, I've
disappointing.
met a few of them.
You know,
That's,
I watched that. Well, we used a lot of clips from the Saudi documentary, Southihe, that Charlie Bird. It was like his first gig as a researcher in RTA. They go over to South Boston for like 3 months. You know, when public broadcasting used to happen, and they just like basically document the Irish in South Boston for like 3 months. It's the most I'd say it's the best documentary I've ever watched.
Saudi?
You know, Saudi. Okay. And it's just sitting in the RT basement, you know.
Yeah.
But we were pulling clips from it. And yeah, it gets into that, like they talk to a lot of people in the African American community who are like, the Irish, what the fuck? You know, like what's wrong with these people?
Yeah.
Because busing is happening at the time.
Okay.
When kids are getting like, you know, black kids are getting bussed into schools here and white kids are getting busted out there in this kind of like hack-handed attempt of like integration. But like, yeah, the racism levels go up a notch in South Boston. But I wouldn't, like none of the, you know, the people that we met were like all, like I remember we were interviewing some guy and he had like a big AOC poster and stuff like that in his room. And shit. You know, it was like, no, I had quite a lot of respect for everyone, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, it's fun.
I think the Bernadette Devlin, you know, the way she goes over
and gives the key to the
Black Panthers, and then she gets into basically a very public row with Irish America.
Yeah,
and she was like, "You're doing to the black people what, you know, the British are doing to the Irish people back there."
Yeah.
That kind of while she may have been correct, I think that line then is used by like the establishment. You know, not to use these words like the establishment, but I think the establishment used that line then to like write off all of Irish America in their interests during the Troubles for like the next 30 years. They're like, oh, those hicks, aren't we glad we got rid of them? They're all racist over there in America. Didn't Bernadette tell us that?
Yeah.
So I think I think that line gets kind of badly used to paint a whole.
Yeah.
And I don't think that she would have wanted that either. She was more in combat with like, well, no, she was, but like, you know, it gets used to write off a whole swathe of like millions of people.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure. Yeah, like there are Irish Americans who are racist and voted certain ways, but it stands to reason an awful lot of them would have like taken the like they clearly care passionately about the North, and you know, it makes sense that they would also have similar values.
The kind of anti-colonial or whatever. Like Mandami's speech there the day on St. Patrick's Day. You're like, he's giving them a lot. He's giving Irish America a lot of credit.
Yeah. But there's I was looking this up quickly because I thought it was Boston, but it's Syracuse. Did you ever come across the upside down traffic light of Syracuse?
No.
It's on Tipperary Hill.
Okay.
And already great start, and it's a bunch of Irish Americans, and the traffic lights traditionally green, yellow, orange or red. They didn't like that. They had some issue with the red being above the green because it was the royal red. Okay. So they kept throwing stones at it.
Yeah.
So until they
look,
just
everyone's got
their
their part to play.
Yeah, but to this, they gave up and they turned the traffic light upside down. So it's an upside down traffic light. Yeah. So like, fuck anyone who was colorblind or whatever.
I could have opened the whole film with that. Like
that upside down traffic, such a symbol of like stubborn. Fuck the Queen. You know, the red doesn't go above the green.
So they're doing that to a traffic light. Meanwhile, she's getting a city handed to her for her 80th birthday.
Yeah.
Who's winning?
You know? I know what side I'm on.
Yeah.
But
and it's not the traffic light side.
No. I think they should all just be orange, all the lights. That's my vote.
Because there's the two younger Irish girls that you've footage of that are like, oh, you have to think about what's going on in the south of America, and these people should be more invested in that and not worry what's going on over here. But for them, this is their land. It's their origin.
Totally.
It reminded me of when I was in college. We had like a 5-bedroom apartment, but we'd have Americans come over for like one semester each. So it was always a roll on, roll off.
Yeah.
We had a Boston girl And she's very Irish. She was like Julie Doddle or something. And so we were like, she was learning loads about the country. And she was on the phone one time in the living room with her dad. And we were just like, we were always taking the piss. Like, Ash, what would he know about Ireland? What would he know about Ireland? Yeah. And then she just mentioned that on the phone. He's like, oh, the guys are all saying, what would you know about Ireland? And I've never heard a phone so loud, not on loudspeaker. She had to leave the room. And I was like, only as you get older, then you're like, oh yeah, I've only really started learning about Irish history since I was like, like getting closer to 30, like your late 20s and that. Yeah. Like an 18-year-old me telling some guy who's gone through, he's like probably grown up in Boston.
No, I'll give them their props, like, you know.
Yeah. But you had to leave at like 2021 and like your whole identity over there was just other Irish people, and then some guy back home's like, hey, what the fuck would he know about it? There's a couple of other, I really like the scandal of renting out the Times Square.
Oh my God.
UTP. I thought it meant up the Pope. He said he was with a Catholic organization. I didn't ask any questions.
There's no way, because Americans don't know what like up the anything means.
Sure.
That's an
and I wouldn't have thought they'd be overly happy with up the Pope anyway.
In the middle of Times Square.
Yeah, that'd be its own set of issues.
Yeah.
Up the Pope is such a funny...
That's kind of the stunts.
I swear.
It's kind of the stunts they were pulling off all the time, you know?
Yeah.
But these people were like incredibly committed activists. Like they had basically a weekly newspaper.
Yes.
With a print run of thousands, you know? They're all up. Someone's digitized like every single one of them, which was great for us making a film, like, you know? Because the imagery is amazing and the graphics and all this sort of stuff. But just that level of dedication. And even I've seen this week, Martin Galvin was leading like an Ancient Order of Hibernians tour of Ireland, like this week. Oh. And they were like in the Dáil. They were up in Derry meeting the mayor. Yeah. I was like, wow, these people really care. Like no matter what you agree with them or don't agree with them, like they've totally dedicated their life to you know, unification or whatever, you know, the kind of way.
Yeah.
No, the AOH is kind of crazy. I would have met a lot of them in St. Louis. I lived there for a while. If they actually had me and my brother, we wouldn't have been hurlers, but they were like, Irish, take these hurls, you're in the parade, front and centre, you're right here. And then every you walk by, I was like, they're really Irish. Yeah. Just us trying to knock the ball to each other, missing every single time.
Do you play for Kilkenny? I play near Kilkenny.
I've seen Kilkenny play.
I've seen Kilkenny.
Do I play for Kilkenny?
Kilkenny. Yeah. But I'll say I was guilty of this. You go to Lansat in the documentary that I always had the image of the happy and passed around the dark, you know, trad rooms and some of the
They kind of kiboshed that, didn't they?
Yeah, they really like, because I guess I don't know where that stereotype comes from. Probably movies like The Devil's Own.
It's in The Devil's Own and that,
yeah.
The Irish Relief Agency, I think, is The Devil's Own.
Okay,
again, it's either Devil's Own or Patriot Game, where Harrison Ford is grabbing what is meant to be the NORAID guy, Paddy O'Neill, and he's like, "You better tell me where he is, or you won't have money for guns. You'll be back throwing rocks."
Oh, that's what I meant to say. Panicky. Yeah, we haven't talked about him much yet, but Brad Pitt's character is almost 100% based on him. Yeah,
so this is Gabe who's from Belfast, goes over to America, and his job is to get, after basically George Harrison and those lads kind of get like exposed, Gabe comes over and he's the next generation of like people to run guns from America.
Yeah.
And he gets caught in a hotel room in a Sting, trying to buy Stinger missiles. And we were able to get the FBI secret recording of in the bedroom and stuff like that, which is cool, you know. And then Brad Pitt's character is a guy who comes over from the north to buy Stinger missiles.
Yeah. Like, it's about 10 years after.
Yeah. Which, it must be. But if you're Gabe, you're pretty happy with that, aren't you? Like Brad Pitt's
Pitt, yeah.
That's pretty good.
That is.
Gabe is still alive, obviously.
Yes.
Whereas Brad Pitt's character
is dead.
Yeah.
Also, it looks like the fact that they called him Panicky, because they're like, why? He's like, because he's good at his job.
Yeah,
he's like, you are following. Yeah. He knows he's being tracked.
What is it that the FBI do? Is like, he was the real French Connection type. He would look left and right.
He would look behind him just to see if anyone was there.
He's doing some base level surveillance.
We're dealing with a mastermind. He'd look over his shoulder sometimes twice.
He totally threw us. We had him in our sights. He looked left. He went right.
He went down into some sort of a subway. We lost him, boss.
It's like a train on the ground.
We thought we were waiting for him to come back up the steps. Turns out he's across the city.
Yeah.
Well, he's some sort of mole operator.
There's good archive we have of when they set up the dedicated IRA unit in the cops, and like they're like we've got archive of them like opening their files, and all their folders are called like IRA, A to Z, IRA, and then they close the file and it just has a big sticker across it with Garda, and then the Garda Síochána like logo.
Nice.
So the guards are obviously over,
Yeah.
like meeting up with them, like, here, you just want a sticker.
Yeah. But that is, I
love
thought
this.
that was very American to be like, yeah, this is this top secret sting organization that's going to
Yeah.
infiltrate the IRA. It's like, why are you filming them?
Yeah,
why,
yeah.
why have you got footage of them sitting around an office?
Yeah,
They're like
yeah,
meant
yeah.
to be secret operatives.
Exactly. They're all sitting around, and
Yeah.
then the voiceover is like from Granada TV. It's like, these are all the agents that are going to break the IRA's connection in America. It's like, if I'm the IRA, I'm gonna like take screenshots of this.
Oh,
there was obviously
yeah.
no screenshots in 1970,
You
but
just watch it on a loop.
you know, I would have got like, how would I have taken? I would have got like a camera,
Sure.
paused it, taken a, but
take
then
a
it would have
picture.
blurred.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe you could do it.
But then that's great cinematography. You're looking at a blurry picture of a guy. You're like, is this?
Yeah,
Should I be buying guns off this man?
yeah.
Yeah. But the Whitey Bulger connection then also very interesting. I was just double checking earlier because he obviously got stabbed to death in prison.
Only about a year ago.
Not
No,
a little longer ago, but not that long ago.
Yeah,
Recently
They
enough.
stabbed his eyes out. Was that it?
Stabbed his eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah. But within
by like a Polish American dude
it
who
was
they're saying had like no connection to like he's only like in his 30s or something, but
The
he
guy.
really hated rats.
Yeah.
And he's,
I
and
think
he's like, is that Whitey? I hate rats. It's like, man, don't worry, it's not your fight.
Yeah. I think they traced it back to some mob guy who had some
did they?
people,
Okay.
maybe, but he was only in prison. He was only in that prison for like
Yeah, because they were
One night.
jumping him across prisons, weren't they?
they brought him in because he was 80 in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
One of the biggest like touts in the country, and they're
Yeah.
like, you'll be fine in general pop. Oh, you're dead by the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's about that.
Yeah.
And then his family tried to sue the state.
Well, his family, who were all like, big senator, or well, not big, but like congressmen, and
Yeah.
it's that real Irish American thing of like one brother's the priest, one's the
Yeah.
congress, one's a pedophile gangster.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Which is another, I don't know, is the taxi driver in your documentary was like, yeah, my uncle, he lives over there. He became chief
no,
of police.
that's Pat Nee, who was like
Yeah.
Whitey's fucking one of Whitey's underlings,
Yeah.
who now goes on to say he hates Whitey, but he was like the IRA's main contact in South Boston into the world of Whitey. So he would have, the Valhalla would have been like his main preoccupation at that time. So he's the guy that we like film in Boston docks where they're like talking about loading up the Valhalla, and he then flies to Ireland and he's waiting on the Valhalla. He's meant to go out on one of the boats to meet the Valhalla, and then they're like driving around that area in Mayo where the Gallagher brothers come from, Oasis come from.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Name escapes me, but like they're driving around there and then they hear on RT radio like boats intercepted, and then the guy driving around is like, you guys got to be getting out of here. So he's like, yeah, we got down to like France and then got the hell back. But when he gets back, when he lands back in Boston, he's just grabbed at the gate,
Right.
and he's like, what did he say in the film? He's like, the judge gave me 5 and I said I could do 7. Yeah, I'll do 7.
He's like, I get my family thumbs up. 4, I can do 4, no problem.
yeah.
I thought it was very reasonable.
Yeah.
Because the other guy got that was the other boat. What was that? Is the Anna? Was that one called? Because the other guy, he gets 4 and the other guy gets 10, but he gets 12 because he tries to escape, which is always isn't.
Yeah, no, they're on the same boat.
Oh, is that the same boat? Okay,
But yeah, the other guy gets done in Ireland.
Oh, okay.
And then another guy who's on that boat gets killed by Whitey because he's like, he's grabbed by the cops one day. Well, he's not on the boat, but he's involved in like getting the boat across.
Yeah,
he's grabbed by the cops in Boston one day for like a drink driving offense or something like that.
And
then he starts talking about that, and it's like, oh,
and you know how white you feel about rats.
Yeah,
It's the worst thing you can
not
possibly
like
be.
that. But just real grim shit. Like
Yeah. I just looked it up there just to set the record straight. Apparently, it's Charleston. That's where
Charleston and Mayo, and there's a Charleston in Boston, which is basically a mad Irish place as well.
Sure.
What's that film? What's that film with like Matt Damon? Where like they keep doing like bank jobs.
Oh, the town.
The town is meant to be Charlestown.
God,
okay.
that's a terrible movie.
No,
That's a great movie.
What are you
It's so
talking about?
Stupid. It's bad.
No,
It's
no.
bad.
What are
'Cause
you?
I thought you were going to say The Departed, which I just watched again the other day. That's a good movie.
That's a good one. Black
Yeah.
Mass.
Black Mass. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was confused by. I think I remember seeing Black Mass in the cinema and I was drinking and I couldn't follow what was happening.
I think there's a
Not
Joe. There's a
confusing
Joe
movie.
Cahill character in Black Mass.
Okay.
And he comes over from the IRA and like meets Whitey.
Yeah.
And Whitey's like, Joe, don't worry, whatever you need. Someone was saying to us, he's like, Whitey was a rat, but he would never rat on the IRA.
He was one of the good rats.
Okay.
Well, actually, yeah, sure. Yeah, The Departed. Fucking,
Yeah.
He is also Whitey Bulger.
In The Departed. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. God, what an era of movies.
Wow. Yeah. What's the last like IRA movie?
What's the last like?
Kneecap.
Yeah, yeah. What's the last like Irish mob? Well, The Irishman, I guess.
Oh, The Irishman. Yeah, but it doesn't have any like kind of IRA crossover in it, does
No.
it?
What's the
Well,
last?
it's on for so long, I don't know. Maybe it does.
Yeah. What's the last good?
Good, the last good movie.
What's happened now is that Irish people have gone mainstream.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be. What's the last movie that opened with like a Cranberries song?
Yeah.
And a like really schmaltzy, kid seeing their dad shot by the British, and then cut to 30 years later.
Yeah, maybe we need to get back to that.
Yeah, because we watch a lot of movies.
Now it's like a kid like seeing their dad, head out to work for the day in Google. It's like,
yeah.
Then it like fast forwards 30 years. Do you ever want to see it? a kid's dad throw his life away to tech companies? God no.
God no.
But the documentary does a great job of having fun with it as well, because obviously there are very grim parts, but there's a lot of comedy in it as well. Because did you watch the Hutch documentary on RTE?
Yeah.
Because they play the entire thing as a very serious crime.
Yeah,
it's like there's so much fun to it.
Yeah.
You're like, you got to show this as funny.
Yeah, totally. Maybe that's like a flaw in my personality, in that like I'm not able to like stay serious about anything for ages.
Yeah,
kind of where you're like,
join the crew.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be. I'm, let's make a serious documentary here, and then you're like, but it's all so funny.
It's so funny. Well, we have an identity crisis all the time, and that like one episode would just be about here's the Wayfarer poem Patrick Pearse said after his arrest before he's hung, and then like he'd like.
I went to see Plough the Stars the other night.
Oh yeah, so
you've got this amazing bit where like the bit where like the Rising hasn't started yet, and Pearse is kind of they're like in the pub looking out the window. Fluter and that, and Pearse is like at the window, and he's like giving his like Rivers of Blood kind of speeches. Fucking sound like, obviously O'Casey is painting them in a way, but like they sound quite like fascistic, and obviously it is of the time. But when you're watching it, you're also like,
he was a pedophile.
Hey,
we've spent about 3 weeks reading all of his stuff now.
We put it behind the paywall and still danced around it, because you're like, we're still not sure.
Are you gonna read Rory O'Carroll's new book about casement? Apparently he says, and maybe I shouldn't say this, I haven't read it yet. I'm looking forward to reading it. He's the guy that like Chavez kind of went at when he was the Guardian correspondent in Venezuela.
Okay,
which is a very funny clip. But apparently he basically says in the book like the Black Diaries are true.
They are true.
They are true.
They definitely are.
Yeah, but it's like that it's like that Simpsons episode where Lisa uncovers everything
yeah.
And then it's the guy's like, Lisa, look at all the joy it's bringing. Why do you need to bring the truth?
That is I think it's because I've been thinking of that. Is that episode with the Pearse stuff? That's one of my favorite scenes where they're like, they got the sniper trained on her because she's going to give the speech. She's like, whoa, let's see what she says. And after she gives the speech, the bullet just goes through the stage. Wow. So good. But Casement, I think the best critique I heard about the diaries is because a lot of like to and fro.
The Village are always writing articles about how the diaries are not true and they're British psyop and all this sort of stuff. One guy in the Village has been I don't know if anyone buys the Village anymore.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be mean by saying that.
Sure.
I wrote for the Village years ago. I remember writing a piece about a split in the SWP or something like that.
Okay.
You're like, wow, is this news? But like, and I got like 400 quid for it. And then I got like free wine in a bar on the Liffey.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, is this what journalism is? Write about shit about people who I know are doing, then get money for it. Maybe that's actually an informer. Maybe Whitey would not have looked well on that.
That's that sent you down this whole path.
Yeah.
But I've read extracts of the diaries, and the best critique I heard about them is that they're so gay that no British operative in 1916 could have faked them.
Would have known how
the length and
the British aristocracy were pretty.
Why couldn't the British have had a gay person in their ranks?
I'm going to say those boarding schools were areas of exploration.
But they would have been posh they would have been posh gay.
Yeah.
The level of detail he goes into in the length and girth of the penises he's been involved with, I don't think it could have been faked.
Yeah. A great statue, though, in Dunleary.
There's a great statue in Dunleary. There's also a famous, I think, during the treaty, and we've talked about it before, maybe it was like a bit of a psyop kind of thing. During the treaty negotiations, they take a break and they bring Collins and them then to see the diaries.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah.
Oh, really? That happened?
Apparently.
Just to fuck with him.
This was when Collins was not like at a party or...
Yeah, this is...
Well, I mean, can a man not have a drink?
Mick's like, I've got somewhere to fuck.
Can we wrap this up? You can have for mana. I gotta go for pints.
Yeah.
There's
a bit in the doc as well where there's like after the Valhalla, the day after the Valhalla is intercepted, Dick Spring from Labour is like unveiling a statue to Roger Casement down in fucking Banna Strand or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the RT reporter's like, is this ironic? He's like, no, not you can't draw any lines between a shipment of arms for the Irish Republican Army being intercepted to a shipment of arms for the Irish Republican Army being intercepted.
Just anything that has an opportunity to say erected by Dick Spring.
Yes.
Beautiful. We missed that.
Great rugby player.
We were talking about him the other day. We talked about his rugby career and he opened a Viagra factory, and we were saying...
A what?
Yeah, Viagra factory.
There's a
Viagra factory?
Yeah.
Wow.
All the Viagra made in the country.
In what decade was that?
The 90s, probably.
Okay.
Late 90s. Yeah. Because we still are like the top producer of Viagra.
Yeah.
I think that he was in charge, or it just opened his industry and he was there to cut a ribbon. So surely there's some plaque somewhere saying, brought to you by Dick Spring.
Brought to you by Dick Spring.
Erected by Dick Spring.
Wow, it's just too much, really.
It is, yeah. I mean, the journalists wouldn't known what to do.
Yeah.
No. But
I was needing my research we're doing the George Best season next month.
Okay.
And I didn't realise his dad's name was Dick Best.
Dick Best. Wow.
So it means that Best Dick.
Yeah.
What was great about George Best is like he let Northern Irish people have an Northern Irish identity. That's what I just want to hear people saying shit like that.
Yeah. He gave them an airport. Before that, they didn't know.
Yeah.
He
was Rory McIlroy before Rory McIlroy.
Yeah. Rory McIlroy put Northern Ireland on the map.
Yeah. No, Brad Pitt did.
Yes. The CIA did.
Yeah. Well, literally.
Yeah.
Well, no, that was Dublin I was talking about.
Oh, okay.